Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? Celebrate when dream killers attack your vision you want to keep building. I'm getting all my platforms together so I can broadcast on all three. Thank you for tuning in. I Can Get You Fly TV show where you tune in for business after beauty school education for the enthusiastic, ambitious student who wants to make a six-figure year income rather than a standard 20K. I'm your host, Stylist John. What's going on? Stylist John. Thank you for tuning in. I Can Get You Fly TV show where you tune in for business after beauty school education for the enthusiastic, ambitious student who wants to make a six-figure year income rather than just a standard 20K per year. Today's episodes that we've been talking about, or the series that we've been discussing, has been go where you're celebrated. Now, why do you want to go where you're celebrated? Well, when you go where you're celebrated, you feel welcome, you feel loved and cared for, you feel appreciated. You feel gentle warmth and kindness from those that are around you, and it makes it easier for you to grow as an individual. Why does it make it easier for you to grow as an individual? Well, because you want to grow your bank account. You also want to grow your education, and you also want to be stable in the place that you're planted in. There's a wise book that says that uh, blessed is the man or woman that listens to wise counsel. And that same book also referred to being planted by the trees of living water. What is a tree and what is living water? A tree is you. What is living water? Living water is wisdom. Living water is stability. Living water feeds your spirit on the inside. And so even in your career, you want to feed your spirit, you want to feed your wisdom, you want to feed your stability. Why? Because people that live the most happiest life are those that are stable, are those that are doing what they love to do every single day. And you want to make sure that you have that stability. So, why do you want to have that stability? Well, because you have to build a foundation for anything you want in life. You have to have a foundation, a solid foundation. And what is this foundation that I'm referring to? This foundation comes from having inner peace within yourself, but also going where you're celebrated. Why? When you go where you're celebrated, it's all type of good energy around you, and you emit good energy. You cannot help but to have good energy when you are being celebrated and people love and care about you. And it begins to show in your work ethic. Why? Because when you're loved and cared about and you're valued as an individual where you're working at, the love on the inside of you begins to bubble out because you're doing what you love to do, and the clients begin to feel the love you have for them because they can see your skill set and you care about them. And so when you care about them and the job and workplace care about you and you are appreciated as someone that's there working, love always begets love. On today, we're going to talk about celebrating when dream killers attack your vision. Now, what's a dream killer? A dream killer is somebody that's always trying to talk you out of doing something that's positive, that's good, and that's something that you want to do. I've encountered numerous dream killers. I've encountered dream killers in my family that told me certain things wouldn't work. I've encountered dream killers on the job where they tried to sabotage and snake me out of different things that I was going for. I've even encountered dream killers in friendships that I had with people that found out what it was that I was doing and tried to go around me and get the same thing that I just told them I was going for. What do you do when you are attacked by a dream killer? The first thing you want to do is celebrate. Why? because they would not be attacking you unless you had something of value. So that means that you're on the right path for whatever it is that you're doing. And it means that what you're doing is great. And what you're doing is so great to the point where they want to steal what you've been going after. Why? Because you've been passionate about it. You've been talking about it for a long time. So the only thing a person can do that can't stop somebody that's unstoppable is try to slow them down or try to hinder the relationships with people that's in front of them that's trying to where they're trying to get to. And I've experienced that. So what do? Instead of getting mad and retaliating on that person, you start celebrating. Why? Because all it does is solidify and strengthen the purpose that God have on the inside of you, and you be full aware of who they are. You be full aware of what they doing. You be full aware of the person that's calling, making phone calls, giving you negative references. You be full aware of the person that's going and causing confusion in relationships where you trying to build relationships in order to move forward in. You be full aware of that. God show you everything. So what do? You begin to celebrate. Why do you celebrate? Because can't nothing stop you. You are unstoppable. The work that God have for you to do is for you to do. And can't nobody take that away from you as long as you don't quit. In the word, it says, greater is he on the inside of you than he whom is in the world. What does that mean? That means that your future and your destiny and your purpose is on the inside of you, and you have to birth it out. You have to birth it out. You have to push with all your might on the inside of you. Get your structure together, get your blueprint together, get your information solidified with your business plan, and you have to do it. Why? Because it's something that God gave you to do. And why do you do it? Well, because it's going to give you the most happiness in life at the highest level it can be reached by you getting up and you doing it. Why? You ever heard of Maslow's principles or Maslow's pyramid? Maslow was a psychologist that made a pyramid. And in this pyramid, it kind of looked like the pyramid that we use for itemizing food that is healthy for us based on categories. What they call like dairy, fruits and grains, vegetables, fruits, juices, nuts and berries. Well, how they have a pyramid, and we're supposed to eat according to this pyramid. Maslow was a psychologist that arranged how a person can be happy in life by obtaining different things in their life path based on this pyramid. And what did the pyramid represent? Well, the pyramid came from, the information came from Egypt, which is in Africa, which before the continent was known as Africa, it was called Akabulan, which are the Aborigines or the people that was native to America prior to any Europeans that had ever set foot on the planet. And this wisdom came straight from God. And what was this wisdom? This wisdom was a pyramid that was structured in such a way where it talked about the different stages of life and how you reach self-actualization at the very top of the pyramid. Self-actualization is the point in life where your dream and everything that you've been hoping for start to come true. But the very first stage of the pyramid is your survival. What is your survival? Your survival is what you're going to eat, what you're going to drink, where you're going to sleep, the roof over your head, and then the next pyramid on top of that is love. So after you secured your survival, after your survival is stable, where you have a regular income coming in, where you can eat food every single day, and you can be consistent in whatever it is that you do for a period of time. Your next aspect is when you find love after you have become financially stable, where you have become foodology stable. I just made up that word, foodology stable. What's foodology? What did I mean by that? I'm talking about in reference to having a consistent flow of food, and then having a supply of water where you can drink water, and you can have substance to where your body is energized and it's flushing all the toxins and impurities out of you. Now, why am I saying this? On Maslow's pyramid, okay, the very bottom line was survival, okay, and if you make it from the survival standpoint to the next standpoint, begin to move up the pyramid in these various different tiers up to self-actualization. Now, what is self-actualization? At the very top of the pyramid is self-actualization, which represents you being able to live your dream, which represents you being able to do the very thing, the skill set that you have every single day that you love to do. You begin to live this. And it might be a lifelong thing that you may do it for a period of time. And self-actualization is something that happens in a person's life, and when you reach it, you become the most happiest that you ever been. Have you ever met people that was on the job working and they didn't like working their job? They liked to work, but they didn't like their job. Why? Because it was factors on the job. It may have been systems that may have stifled their creativity. It may have been co-workers that may have stifled their energy force for what it is they wanted to express in the environment. And so when you work a job is designed to only give you a skill set. And work is something that you do over a lifelong time period. And so why do you separate the difference between the job and work? Because God did not design us just to have a job. He designed us to work. And there's a difference between a job and working. Okay, work is something that's lifelong. Work is something connected to your spirit. Work is something that's connected to your life force energy and how long and the problems that you decide to solve while you are alive. Because there are problems that you are designed to solve because God gave you the wisdom and he gave you the understanding to see what the problem is, and he gave you the solution. And the reason why he gave you the solution is because the world become a better place when people begin to solve problems that they begin to see to help this world to become better, which help this world to become good, which takes away from the evils in the world and the different things that are in environments that cause it not to function right. Because we are world changers. And so what do you do when you encounter someone as you're trying to manifest the dream that you have, the work of your hands, the work that you're trying to produce to make you become a better person to where you reach self-actualization, where you reach the very top pyramid of your goals? What do you do when you are encountered by a dream killer? What's a dream killer? A dream killer is somebody that listens to your dream and tell you you can't do it. A dream killer is somebody that always got something negative to say when you're trying to go after something that's good. A dream killer is somebody that sabotages your work when you're trying to work very hard so you don't get the very thing that you've been going after. What do? You begin to celebrate. Why do you begin to celebrate? When you begin to celebrate, you hear straight from God. When you begin to celebrate, he gives you strength, added strength to your body. When you begin to celebrate, he gives you different ways on how to maneuver around people that are jealous, that are trying to stop you from doing what you're supposed to. Now, why do you celebrate that? The reason why you celebrate that is because it lifts your spirit higher. The reason why you celebrate when them things happen is because it keeps your character sharp. The reason why you celebrate when them things happen is because it builds up the power on the inside of you and pull you back like a rubber band. And at the appointed time, when the rubber band is so full with so much praise, he let the rubber band go and boom, you catapulted into your destiny. And can't nobody stop an eagle. When you flying high, nobody can stop an eagle. And what's an eagle? An eagle is somebody that think, dream, and act on a whole nother level. It's somebody that think, dream, and act on a higher level than the people that's under them. Not saying you better, you just different. You going after your dream. Everybody not going after their dream. Some people been complacent and it's stuck where they at, and they became happy, and they found themselves in debt because they acquired things outside of their means, and now they stuck in a rat race. What's the rat race? Where you in debt, you living beyond your means, which means that you overspending and you stuck where you at. And if you lose your job today or tomorrow, you're gonna start losing your stuff. And that's the reason why we as a community have to own the stuff that we touch. We have to own it. We need to own our house. We need to own our cars. We need to own our businesses. We need to own everything. Why? The difference between somebody that rent and lease versus somebody that own is the amount of money that you shelling out. Okay? The amount of money you shelling out. If you shell out money and there's no equity that you can get back from any of the money you spent, what are you supposed to do? How can you ever progress forward if there's no equity or value or any type of economic value in what it is that you've been investing your money into? The reason why neighborhoods thrive is because of economics. And there's such an economics to where the money in the neighborhood or the community began to circulate 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 times before it leaves. The reason why businesses flourish is because it has a circulation of money, which builds the business, which causes money to circulate. And once the money begin to circulate and once the money begin to build up in that environment, you can do a lot more things with it. And then it becomes self-sustaining. And so when the business becomes self-sustaining, which means that it doesn't need anything else to run, it can stand up on its own. Just like we supposed to stand up on its own, a business is supposed to be so self-sustaining to where it can stand up on its own, to where if it encountered a blow, it wouldn't fall over and crumble. It has a strong foundation. Just like we want a strong foundation to where our survival is taken care of, businesses need a strong foundation to where it has its survival where it's taken care of. Dream killers come during a time period where you're trying to build your foundation. Why? Because if your foundation is cracked, then it's hard for you to have solid ground where you can stand up on. What do you do when those situations happen? You celebrate. Why do you begin to celebrate? You throw the biggest party for yourself and for your creator. You start throwing a party for them. You can throw the party in your mind. You can throw the party in your spirit. You start laughing out of nowhere. What does it do? Instead of you getting angry and upset, because there's a wise book that says that he who angers you is he who controls you. Okay? Or she. He or she that angers you is he or she that controls you. If they can make you mad about stuff they doing and irritating you and talking about you and lying on you and making false accusations against you and saying this and saying that, if they can make you mad, then they controlling you because they're trying to get you to stop doing what you're working on. Why? Because if they can get you to stop doing what you're working on, you're not building. And if you're not building, you're not doing your purpose. And if you're not doing your purpose, you're not advancing to where God is trying to take you. So I'm here to tell you that you want to celebrate when dream killers attack your vision. When they tell you that you can't do it. When they tell you that you'll never amount to nothing. When they tell you that it won't work, you should do it like this. But your mind says, I'm supposed to do it like that. And you're trying to manifest the very thing that you're working on. Celebrate. Because it's going to build up your character. It's going to build up your spirit. It's going to give you energy where you're losing energy from people around you trying to pull your energy out of you by being negative and talking against what you're trying to build. And it sharpens you. And the reason why it sharpens you is because when David went up against Goliath, David, it could be as simple as what? A small guy going against a bigger guy. So let's say David was 6 foot. And let's say Goliath was 10 foot. And let's say David, he was the run of his litter and people looked at him and thought that he couldn't do nothing. So that's them underestimating you, right? And what's Goliath? Goliath could be a large corporation that is trying to take your stuff or trying to take your ideas or trying to implement what you're doing into what they're doing, right? They telling you, you need to be at work. You need to be on time. They got all these rules for you, right? But your vision and your dream goes beyond what their corporation is. Right now, you may just be working there just to get a skill set. You may be working there just to sharpen up your skills. You might just be working there because you need to get the finances you need to move forward in the next step, in the next stage that you want to be in. So what is David going against Goliath? Well, what did David do? David was a musician. David heard from God. The God within and the God outside of him was one. What happened? Goliath began to go up against the army of God and began to talk about God's name and use God's name in vain. And David was one keen on the promises of God. And why was David keen on the promises of God? David was keen on the promises of God because he had experienced times where God had delivered him and gave him strength and energy to where he had these small victories, which were equaled up this particular victory where Goliath was going against him and defying him. So what did David do? David seen some rocks by a brook, and they were shiny because the water had rolled over the rocks plenty of times. And what does the water represent? The water represents the spirit of the Most High God. The spirit of the Most High God will begin to sharpen you. The Spirit of the Most High God will begin to build your character and your spirit, man, or woman on the inside. The Spirit of the Most High God will begin to teach you and give you wisdom, uncanny wisdom, because David could not go into battle wearing Saul's armor. What does Saul's armor represent? Saul's armor represents a system or a way of doing things that works for a period of time that could not work in the season where David was about to be going against Goliath in. It couldn't work. That system couldn't work for David. Why? Because David was an entrepreneur. I'm applying this to business. David was an entrepreneur. And Saul was used to business being a certain way, and he was king for a long time. And so that old way of doing things wasn't going to work in the new generation. That old way of trying to handle things was not going to work in the new generation because people conducting business differently. Now, some of the principles could work, but not the entire system. So the whole system need to be changed. So what did David do? Goliath began to taunt David. And so what did David do? David grabbed a rock from the brook and used something that was very familiar and close to him that he was skilled in, his sling. And he put the rock in his sling and he began to twirl it like this. Now, what does this sling represent for you? The sling represents for me cosmetology and hairstyling. The sling represents for me music because I love music. I've been producing music since 1995 when I first set foot inside of a studio and spent my entire paychecks for a whole summer buying CDs, beat machines, mixers, and learning how to make beats when I was a freshman going to school. 1995. I spent almost $6,000 my freshman year working at Six Flags, taking my paycheck every week and buying records, listening to the records, learning how to mix, learning how to produce records. I spent all my money. So what does this thing represent for you? For you, it can represent your sewing. For you, it can represent your ability to be a ballet dancer. For you, it can represent you doing the very best at what you do. It could be basketball for you. It could be soccer for you. For me, it's music and hairstyling. David picked up his sling and he began to celebrate God's name. He began to celebrate the Spirit of the living God on the inside of him. And he said, "Who dare defies the army of the living God?" Now, why did he say that? Sometimes you have to address your dream killers. You have to address them and say, "No, God said this gonna work. He showed it to me. He made it plain in my vision, and I'm not going to be shook from this." And so David wasn't shook from Goliath. What did David do? David puffed his chest out, grabbed his sling, put the rock on the sling, began to twirl it. When he began to twirl it, it was the techniques and skill sets that he had on his own. The techniques and skill set that he developed on his own working. And so what did he do from that point on? He slung the sling. When he slung the sling, he let it go. He let it fly. When he let it fly, that was his faith. What does faith have to do with your business? Faith have to do with your business, the ability to believe that you can do something. Faith has something to do with the ability that you can do exactly what your mind and what your mouth said. Sometimes people don't see it. When people don't see it, they begin to doubt it. When people begin to doubt it, they believe it can't happen. But yes, it can happen. You just have to continue getting past your dream killers to where your dream manifests. So what did David do? David slung the rock. And then when David slung the rock, he let the rock fly. What does the rock represent? The rock represents the anointing that God put on the inside of you for you to do what you're supposed to do. It's the anointing that he put on the inside of you. And what is the anointing? The anointing represents the power that he put on the inside of you in order for your activity, your limbs to be activated, for your sight, your hearing, and your mind. It's something that you can do. He gave you the power to do it. And so when Goliath got hit with the stone in his forehead, it knocked him clean out. He fell over. Boom. A 6-foot tall man just beat a 10-foot tall man in a battle with a rock and a sling. Goliath I think he had an axe or he had some type of tall weapon that probably could have killed David if Goliath would have got the first shot. But sometimes you only get one shot to win. And you can't be afraid of that one shot, that one opportunity. You cannot be afraid to step into the realm of opportunity when God trying to bless you with something. You cannot be afraid. And so David, when he seen the opportunity, he said, let's go. And he stood up with all his might. And when he grabbed the rock, he was already familiar with what he was doing, and he put the rock on a sling, began to twirl it, hit Goliath in the forehead, and Goliath fell. And then when Goliath fell, what did David do? David took the head off of Goliath. What is taking the head off Goliath represent in business? Taking the head off Goliath represents you mastering your craft to where your competition cannot stand in the same arena as you. What does that mean? That means that you are so good at what you're doing. That means that you are so skilled at what you're doing. Your competitor cannot compete with you. And I don't even believe in competition. I just believe in mastering your craft to the highest ability that you can do it in, so you can be the most effective on the Maslow's pyramid, where it talks about self-actualization, where you are so skilled and you are so informational, wise in what it is you're doing, that you are able to help the community that you in from doing what you do, because you understand it so much to where you can solve a problem like that. And people that solve problems become the most wealthiest people in the world. Why? Because they're able to help a lot of people. And when you are able to help a lot of people, you develop a large level of influence. And when you have a large level of influence, you begin to speak a thing and people begin to have favor with you. And then you be able to get more stuff done. Why are you able to get more stuff done? You're able to cause more good to happen. You're able to see what's wrong. You're able to correct it and make it right. And in our community, we need more leaders that want to stand up in the community and help make things right that's wrong. Why? Because the government shutdown. What did the government shutdown represent? We just came out of 400 years of slavery. We came out of 400 years of slavery. Literally 2 weeks ago, the date literally was just ended. And then shortly after it ended, the government shut down. So what does that mean? That means that we as a culture should not depend on the government. We should not. Our businesses and the things that we do has to be so strong and solidified as a community to where if the government shut down, we won't be affected. And that's a hard thing to do. However, if you have faith, it can happen. And the reason why it can happen is because the people in the community weigh more than the magistrates that say, we want this done, we want that done. The people in the community. Think about it. Think about all the millions of people in the community. All the people that have energy on the inside of them that can do stuff. Think about it. You have more influence in your community than somebody that's never been in the community that talks about things that's going on from a larger scale that's never been there before. If you know your community, you know your community like the back of your hand. You have the influence to change your community to make it better for the generation that you in. And you also have the ability to help pass the baton to those that's in the community that you see potential in that can potentially help the community for the next 20 or 30 years after you're gone. And so as you're building mentors and as you become a mentor, you want to build mentors to where as you're leading and guiding them and as you're helping them out and as you're being helped and someone took you under that wing, you taking somebody else under the wing so your community can thrive. Because business and economics thrive when communities thrive, when the dollar can circulate around multiple times without leaving. I noticed that Schnucks stores started shutting down in predominantly melanated areas. I noticed that. Now, why did that happen? Why did Schnucks stores start closing down in melanated areas? Well, this is my theory. In melanated areas, if you cannot eat the proper foods, it's going to throw off your body chemistry. Now, there's already a lot of different things going on in the water. There's already a lot of different things that's going on with the food. If the water in the food is not alkalized to where your body can eat and ingest it, and it causes your body and your cellular structure to be able to heal itself, then you're going to always be sick. Your body's going to be full of mucus and your immune system is going to be shot. And so how do you fix that? You got to be able to grow your own food. You have to be able to make your own alkalized water, and you have to have filters to where it filters out the ingredients that's in water, in tap water, to where when you drink it to where it don't affect your body in a negative way. And a lot of people are not aware of this. And so we have to bring more awareness to individuals in the community so that they are aware of how to do these different things as we become aware of it. So why is it important? The reason why it's very important to be able to grow your own food. The reason why it's very important is to be able to alkalize your own drinking water is because there may be a period of time where a supermarket shut down and you was dependent on the supermarket, but now you have a survival technique and skill set to survive on your own from your own land. When you have the ability to survive off your own land, you're not particularly in need of shopping markets. And can you imagine if everybody in your neighborhood had their own garden in their own backyard and had their own food, had their own watermelon, had their own cucumber, had their own fruits and vegetables, where they was able to feed themselves without going to the store and paying for it. They was able to take the little piece of money they have and get seeds and make a hydroponic garden or make a outdoor garden or green room where they was able to grow their fresh herbs, fruits, vegetables, and able to go into the kitchen and spice it up and make it and eat in just their own food during a shutdown where you're not able to go into the supermarket to get food. You're able to still survive. You're still able to do the everyday things that you need to do. So why am I talking about this? Well, you want to celebrate. Why do you want to celebrate? You want to celebrate when things are going right. You want to celebrate when things are going wrong. You want to celebrate when dream killers attack your vision. Okay? You want to celebrate. Why? Why you want to celebrate? Because it builds character on the inside of you. It gives your body an immense amount of energy, and it helps you to remain focused on your goal. Sometimes distractions come to take your mind and focus off your goal. Sometimes people try to make you mad when you focus on your goal. They try to get your mindset focused on them and not what you're supposed to be doing. If your mindset is focused on them and not what you're doing, now you done looked away for a moment, they done made you mad. Now they snapshot your anger because they trying to make you look bad, right? But you focus on your goal. You focus on your goal. Why do you keep building? The reason why you keep building is because as long as you keep building, your dream gonna happen. And why you want your dream to happen? Because it's gonna help you reach self-actualization in life to where you the most happiest person you ever been in your entire life. Why? Because now you was able to do the things that you see, you was able to do the things that you skilled at, and people begin to love you for the things you do, and you are giving out the love by doing it, and they are returning love because they need it. And so love always beget love. And so when love always beget love, you know you're walking in the will of God. Why are you walking in the will of God? Because God gave every man a will. What is a will? A will is a level of instruction that has your design, blueprint, and your plan on it for your life. And what is that will? That will represents you being able to do the miraculous things that you probably could not normally do in your own strength, but you need his strength on the inside of you in order to assist you to do it. And it's something for public good. How does this relate to the entrepreneur world? Well, you have a great idea for an entrepreneurial business. In this business, you want to be able to support your family. You want to be able to retire off of. You want to have an exit strategy, and you want to be able to leave money to the next generation. You want to be able to do all four of those things. And by having your credit repaired, by mentoring those that are around you that are interested in seeing what you're doing and having a solid business model, you are able to do all four of those things as an entrepreneur. And as an entrepreneur, you want your business to grow and get bigger. Now, why you want your business to grow and get bigger? You want your business to grow and get bigger because as your business grows and gets bigger, what happens? More customers and more clients begin to see what it is you do. And as more clients and customers begin to see what it is that you do, they begin to love your quality of work and service. When they love your quality and work and service, what do? They tell somebody else. Then they tell somebody else. And then you're able to build. So celebrate when dream killers attack your vision. Keep working on your vision. Don't allow them to turn your head. The people to the left of you, the people to the right of you should be praying for you, should be encouraging you, should be catapulting you forward. That's what they should be doing. They should be motivating you. You should be motivating each other. You should be helping each other. All right? And so if they're not helping you, move forward, if they're not motivating you, if they're not celebrating with you, and they're always negative around you and they're always talking about you, it's okay if you remove yourself from them. It's okay if you get in the environment where you're supposed to get at, where you can grow, where you can celebrate. I'm Stylist John. Thank you for tuning in to I Can Get You Fly TV show, where we tune in for business after beauty school education. For the enthusiastic, ambitious student who wants to make a six-figure year income rather than a standard 20K per year, the series I've been talking about is Go Where You're Celebrated. And the episode I'm talking about is Celebrate When Dream Killers Attack Your Vision. You want to just keep building. Keep building. I love you. Have a great day. Check out my social media links. I love working with the homeless. I love custom styles to help maintain their looks so where they don't look homeless. After a good haircut and style and fresh clothes, you can never tell a person was homeless. I'm about that. You can donate to my GoFundMe at www.gofundme.com/stylistjohn. I love working in the community, working with young men and young ladies 15 and under for Cuts and Conversations. What's Cuts and Conversations? Cuts and Conversations is a service project in the community where barbers and stylists get together and donate their time to assist young men and young women with the proper upkeep of their hygiene as it pertains to hair, skin, and nails. And what does it do? It helps stop problems in the school system with children being joned on. It increases self-esteem. It helps to build relationship in the community with some of the young men and young women with being able to provide mentorship to assist them with navigating them along their journey. And it's always good to connect with somebody that's been there before you. Be an eagle. What's the eagle? An eagle thinks, dreams, and acts on a whole nother level. When we say no weapon shall form, no weapon form will prosper. What does that mean? That means that no sabotage, no ill will that somebody have against you, no naysaying, no doubt, no weapon that is formed against you will prosper. Why? Because we celebrating. Our Merkabah energy, our spirit on the inside is being strengthened every time you celebrate, to where when negativity come around you, it just bounce right off of you. When negativity come around you, you can still continue focusing on what you're supposed to be doing because your spirit energy is built up. If you a young man or young lady and you would like your haircut styled or done, you can inbox me on Facebook, or you can email me at stylistjohnmua@gmail.com. stylistjohnmua@gmail.com. And or you can book me online at www.styleseek.com/stylistjohn2. I got my prices broke down in categories. You can check out my price list for different services that I provide: cuts, styles, braids. Also do photo shoots, music videos, low budget films. I'm here to help and assist you in any way. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a young man or young lady that would like to be mentored, definitely contact me. I do have a mentorship program where I will help mentor young men and young ladies in doing the various different things that I'm blessed. My hands have been blessed with. For more information or tips, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can do a search on YouTube at Stylist John MUA2. You'll see a picture of me holding a blow dryer and some shears or two clippers. And join my newsletter for business after beauty school education. For the enthusiastic, ambitious student who wants to make a six-figure year income rather than a standard 20K per year, I'm your host, Stylist John. I want to see you win. I love you. Have a great day. And just remember to celebrate. This whole series is about celebrating. Celebrate.